Hey everybody, it's Tony George from DocSports.com along with my buddy Griff Murphy in Las Vegas. There he is, the spear in the
Yes, sir.
background. I like the photo op there, the background there. You got the spear in the background. And of course, Griff's on his way to moving to Las Vegas here this month. So he's securing his spot.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, we've got college football bowls coming up here this upcoming weekend, Griff.
Yep.
Basically games every day now through the new year once it gets to rolling. And of course, we got some NFL, some wild and wacky results in the NFL, especially on Monday Night Football. My goodness. You
Right.
know, the Steelers and the Dolphins, and especially the Packers took out most of the guys in the Circus Survivor contest. How'd you like to take Green Bay in the Circus Survivor with $9 million on the line, only 22 guys left standing? Oh my God. And 7 of them were on the Packers, and 1 of them was on the Dolphins, who 14-point lead with 3 minutes left. All you got to do is win straight up. There's no spread involved. Painful week. Not my best week in the NFL last week myself after a couple big winning weeks, but we'll bounce back this week. And we're going to get to some bowl games here, Griff. And, of course, we have the Avocado Mexico Bowl going on right now down in Mexico. And we got Appalachian State, who got beat in their last game by Troy.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a surprising score, actually, 49-23. They went out and got behind the woodshed, and then the Miami of Ohio, they're the MAC champions.
Yep.
Well, how about that? Big win over Toledo in that one there. Appalachian State without their running back Knoll for this game, yet they're still laying 6.5 points, total 45.5. And, of course, Miami of Ohio, they have one of the Gabbert boys who plays quarterback for them. There's been a couple of them. 2 of them played at Missouri, and one of them's backing up Mahomes at Kansas City now. But nonetheless, and it's been a bust in the NFL, I might add. But Avion Smith came in and filled in nicely in that championship game. Kind of gave them a different dimension on the ground running the football, kind of a dual threat quarterback. Didn't do a whole lot through the air, 106 yards. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Tony, it was gigantic for Miami, Ohio to really come in and win that MAC championship. And when I break this game down, looking at Toledo and Appalachian State, they're very similar teams. They're very offensive-derived teams. They really do. And Toledo right now, I want to say they're top 25 in the nation in total offensive yards per game. But I've got to say, Toledo, going back to them, they have been held to under 14 points on the offensive side just twice all season long. Miami, Ohio's defense shoved them up, to say the least. And then you look at this team right now with Avion Smith at that quarterback spot. He's surging. He looks really good. I like the kid. Is he somebody that can fill that role? Absolutely. Do I think that this guy's going to be a legitimate quarterback at that collegiate level? No, I don't think so. But Miami, Ohio is a very rush-heavy team, and they've got Rashad Amos in the backfield. This kid's already recorded 12 touchdowns on the season. And now, looking at this game, because obviously this is going to be a neutral site matchup, we have to look at how these two teams play on the road. Say the least, Miami, Ohio has now won 5 straight games. They are currently 7-1 on the road this season. Their lone loss came in week 1 against Miami, where they did get blown out, which is expected. It's week 1. You're playing a team like Miami in the ACC who's absolutely dynamic. So it's kind of one of those cluster mess up games. So that's kind of expected. You roll over to Appalachian State right now. As I mentioned, they're an offense rely heavy team. They're 27th right now in the nation in total offensive yards. That's what the key ingredient is. They're averaging over 35 points per game on the offensive side, which is very good. The problem is for this team, they do not play good football on the road. And they're coming off a loss in their championship matchup against Troy, where they allowed 49 points in that game. So you really look at this game in Appalachian State, I want to say they're 8-5 on the season. They don't have any legitimate wins against any big schools. Their biggest win was against a team, James Madison, who is a very good team, but they're not at that top tier level of a college team. Yes, I believe they only had 1 loss on the season, but they're not when we want to get into that category of those Power 5 conferences. We don't want to talk about them and compare them with anybody like that. Miami, Ohio now winning 5 straight games, winning the MAC championship, getting 6.5 points in this game with all momentum, and you've got Avion Smith sparking right now. Give me Miami, Ohio, in that plus 6.5 points in this game, Tony. That's my play rolling into this one. But shifting gears, let's head on over into the Independence Bowl. This game's going to kick off December 16th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. You can tune into this matchup on ESPN. We've got Cal versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech is laying 2.5 points. That line shifted. I want to say it's at 3 now. We've got a total at 57.5. Both of these teams are coming into this matchup playing 500 football. Cal, they've won 3 straight games, and they beat some pretty solid teams. Washington State, Stanford, and UCLA. Texas Tech rolling into this game after getting beat down by Texas in a 57-7 final. Tony, how do you see this game right now with Texas Tech laying the 2.5 points with a total at 57.5?
Well, I'll tell you something here. There's going to be a lot of excitement for Cal, but let's just back up and talk about the bowls in general. Everybody
Sure.
needs to be abundantly aware of the opt-outs, guys in their transfer portal, not playing, and of course, some superstars on the team sitting, waiting for the NFL draft across the board. Now, the only games that this doesn't affect is the Final 4 games. Okay, they because everybody's playing for a national title, so everybody's going to play. Everybody's going to buckle up. We'll talk about those next couple of weeks. But in this game here, when it comes to the opt-out, there's a plenty of them on the Cal side. It's more significant for Cal than it is Texas Tech in this game. Now, everybody's thinking about Cal and that 33-7 beatdown they gave UCLA at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA really was a disappointing year for UCLA. They've got a tough bowl game in front of them as well. They've got a lot of guys out. Kelly's on the hot seat there. So you can kind of see Cal, and they should have beat USC in that game in triple overtime or whatever. It could have went into overtime, and they decided to go for 2 and win the game and lost by 1 with 8 seconds left. So everybody remembering that about Cal. But Texas Tech, this was a team that I had a loser on for season win totals this year. I thought they really were going to do something. Tyler Slow is going to play quarterback for him. Now, he's already left school and going to Louisville. I think he's in his 7th or 8th year. I don't get all this hardship, COVID, transfer portal, play till you're 30. I don't, in college football, it stymies me at times trying to figure out how all this works in nil money and all that. But one thing about Texas Tech here, they did not have that significant of a hit as what Cal did. As a matter of fact, Cal's leading tackler also is sitting out in this game on the defensive side of the ball. One thing about Texas Tech, I will tell you, they have an elite and physical offensive line. Probably one, I'm trying to think of a team in the Pac-12, maybe Washington has a line similar, big, physical, but they have a running back, Brooks, is an absolute stud. So he's going to be able to run the football. Now, Texas Tech likes to spread it out and pass it as well. Well, you're playing a Bears pass defense. Out of 133 teams in college football, they're ranked 127th. So with that elite offensive line opening up lanes for Brooks and also being able to pass protect against a very weak secondary, I think Texas Tech has their way with them. I'm going to lay the 2.5 and take the Red Raiders in this one to finish the season strong. And I do like Texas Tech's head coach as well. They had a disappointing year. They opened up with that loss at Wyoming, which was shocking. They were like a 13-point favorite, but then again, Laramie, I took Wyoming in that game, getting the big number, because I know Craig Bowl, who unfortunately just announced the other day he's retiring. Great head coach for Wyoming. Used to be Nebraska defensive coordinator under Frank Solich. I used to interview him on the radio when I lived in Lincoln. But nonetheless, I think Texas Tech's going to try and finish on a high note here. I think they'll be motivated, and I like them in this game. We're going to switch gears and go to the NFL. I want to be sure and tell everybody, bowls at DocSports.com. You see the free $60 button up there. Well, not a button. Just type it in your browser and get over there. Take advantage of the free $60. Docs is doing 3 separate bowl releases the next 3 Thursdays. So we'll do bowl games from this weekend through Wednesday of every week until the final bowl. So the first batch of bowls are coming out this weekend. And I know that Griff had a good day on Sunday last week. Good call on the Bears, by the way, for your top play, my man.
Love it.
But be sure and get over to Docs. Take advantage of that free $60. There's a tab in the upper left-hand corner of the website, guys and gals. And just click on that, and it's no strings attached. So be sure and take advantage of that over at Docs. Thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, all those good things. And we're going to get to the NFL and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last week, come from behind. Baker Mayfield does another fourth quarter comeback. And I don't care whether you like Baker Mayfield or not. He's not the most accurate passer. He's not pretty in the pocket at times. He's a little bit unorthodox, but the guy's a gamer. He is a tough SOB, and he is a gamer. And he's got some weapons to work with, too, there. You know, White at running back. You got a couple of good receivers, Evans being one of them. And, of course, Green Bay, as we mentioned, opened up the show, just went into New York and laid an egg. And I tell you, LaFleur got his ass coached off in that game. New York had a game plan for them, and it worked. He got his rear end coached off, and Jordan Love looked like he did the first couple of weeks of the season, too, in that game. Not a good game. Tampa Bay building up some momentum here. They're in a race there, their division. Green Bay's in a race in their division. You got the number here. Green Bay 3.5. Total right now, 41.5. Griff, I have not looked at the weather in this yet. Of course, we're taping this on Wednesday, but it is December and it is Green Bay, Wisconsin, so it's going to be chilly. It's not going to be 75-degree Tampa weather for the Buccaneers. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Tony, and I think that's the only reason that this line is as shifted as it is. I think if this game was anywhere besides the cold, I don't think we would be looking at that hook line with that 3.5. I think it'd be more of a 3-point line. So that's kind of something I've definitely eyed out. But you've got to give Green Bay some slack. Yes, they did lose on Monday Night Football, and they did come into that matchup on a 3-game winning streak. And during the fact, Jordan Love really sparked up the entire Green Bay atmosphere. I mean, he gave this team hopes again. Hey, do we have that guy back at the quarterback spot? Now that following Rodgers, now we've got Jordan Love. He backed him up for so many years. And this is something that I kind of want to get into. I mean, you have your Tom Brady, and who backed up him? It was Jimmy Garoppolo. You have your Brett Favre. Who backed up him? That was Aaron Rodgers. Well, you look at Baker Mayfield. He kind of just got thrown into the mix. Baker Mayfield came straight out of college. He was a starting quarterback with the Browns, and that's where all the inaccuracy in my eyes came from. This guy needed to establish himself in the NFL as an NFL quarterback. Learn the tempo, learn the speed, learn the pace. And I think he's finally doing that right now. Getting back to Green Bay, though, they were on that 3-game winning streak, but who did they beat? They beat the Chargers. They suck. They beat Detroit. Detroit's dwindling right now. All right. They're winning right now. They're first in the NFC North, but Detroit's kind of falling apart, and you could see it week by week by week. They just got blown out by Chicago. Chicago's nothing special. And then the Chiefs. The Chiefs are another team who has now dropped 2 straight games. I know, Tony, that's your beloved team, but they're not playing the greatest football right now at all. So you have to really look at this game. For Green Bay, coming off that loss to the Giants, yes, it's detrimental, especially the fact that you had all this spark, all this hype, and then you've got Tampa Bay rolling into this game. Right now, NFC South, it's anybody's game. It's anybody's division. And you know what? Tampa Bay right now is right there in the mix, just beating Atlanta in a come-from-behind victory. That was gigantic. So right now they're dealing with New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and then you have a brutal Carolina team. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. But as I mentioned, Baker Mayfield. I just did that. I just did that.
That just happened, folks.
Baker Mayfield finally looking like a veteran quarterback. And as you mentioned, you've got, I can't drink my water. You've got Rachaad White in the backfield, and he is absolutely opening up that pass game finally for Baker Mayfield. And as you mentioned, he has absolute weapons. He's got Mike Evans, who is one of the best wide receivers in all of the NFL. And he has Chris Godwin, who has, I think, one drop on the entire season. Green Bay has one of the worst rush attacks on the defensive side in all of football. So what do I see going into this game? Rachaad White up the middle, bust up that defensive line, open up the pass game for your boy Baker Mayfield, landing with your guys, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. My play rolling into this game, Tony, give me the Bucs plus 3.5. I love it all day. I don't care that it's in Green Bay, and I don't care if the weather's below temperature, below zero. I do not care. And yes, I did sip my water. Shifting gears, let's head over to Tony's beloved Kansas City Chiefs at New England Patriots. The Patriots are getting 9.5 points in this matchup. The total is 37. This game will be kicking off December 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can tune in on Fox. Well, it's safe to say this Patriots team, Tony, they probably have the worst offenses in football that I've ever seen. I mean, they're nearly averaging 14 points per game on the offensive side, which is just disgusting. They're 1-6 at home this season. Kansas City, as I mentioned, in a little bit of a debacle. They've dropped 2 straight games against Green Bay and Buffalo. So when I look at this game, you kind of have Kansas City hanging up all over the air, and then you have this Patriots team who is 1-6 at home, worst offense in football. Tony, how do you go about this game?
Well, I want to go back to the Green Bay game real quick here. If you don't end 3.5, you need to get Tampa Bay in a teaser for sure. Get them up to 9.5, folks. You're getting them through 6 and through 7. I think Green Bay's going to struggle there. A lot of holes were exposed last week. When it comes to Kansas City at New England, this line now on Wednesday has dropped down to 8.5 from 9.5, a full point. You're getting a lot of love for the Patriots and Bill Belichick. Why? Because you beat Mitch Trubisky and the Steelers, talking about a team that's on a downward spiral. Well, that would be, a couple of them. You mentioned one earlier we're going to talk about here in a minute, and that's Detroit. The Steelers are another one, just lost back-to-back games to 2-win teams in Arizona and the Patriots. You want to look at taking the points with the Patriots here. Remember this. Zappe versus Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes, a player that got his team to the AFC Championship and won a division title every year he's been in the league. Kansas City off a debacle against Buffalo. Matter of fact, Kansas City really hadn't played a good football game in about 5 weeks. They really haven't. They haven't put it together this year. Is Kansas City going to go to the AFC Championship game this year in Kansas City? No, they're not. They might not get to the AFC Champions. They'll get the playoffs. I think they'll win their division, although Denver's making it interesting. But remember the last home game that New England played. 6-0 loss to the Chargers. When Brandon Staley can outcoach you and his team can outplay you, you think you're going to cover against Kansas City? You're 1-8 against the spread at home, your last 9 home games. Belichick, the last 19 games as an underdog, coaching the Patriots, has covered 4 of them. You're going to see Kansas City's best game they've played in the last month in this game, and I'll guarantee you, after that debacle where Mahomes lost his poise at the end of the game, got caught on camera dropping F-bombs and, bitching about the refs and this, that, and the other. Hey, the guy was offsides. Was it kind of a lame butt call? Yeah, it was. The very next play, Von Miller lined up offsides. They never called it. They called it on Kansas City, took away a miraculous play by Kelsey that probably would have won him the game, but woulda, coulda, shoulda never cased you a ticket at the counter in Las Vegas at the sports book. But I'll guarantee you one thing, you'll see Kansas City's best effort here. I'd stick them in a teaser, maybe with Tampa Bay or somebody else you like. Get them down through 3 now at 8.5. You may see some more left for the Patriots, but the Patriots are, first of all, Mahomes going to have they're 28th in the NFL in sacks. You can't get to Mahomes and you give him time. Receivers, if you can hang on to the frickin' ball, they don't have a receiver that can hang on to the ball for Kansas City. You got more drop. Mahomes is putting it in the breadbasket. It's hitting them in a bad place, right in the hands. Maybe this week they'll act like they're getting paid $1 million or $2 million each and catch the football, because if they do, Mahomes is going to have a big day and Kansas City pulls out a can of whoop ass against New England. Lay it. And that's not with my heart. That's with my head. I fade Kansas City more than anybody. Although I'm pissed off, I played them on the money line last week. And gave the game away. A team that is on Kansas City's heels and is playing about as good as anybody in the league. An impressive win last week as the Denver Broncos take on the Detroit Lions. And you hit the nail on the head. This line's down to 4 now. We did have 4.5 total, 47.5. I think there'll be some scoring in this game. Detroit's defense sucks. They're terrible. We've said this a couple of times. We've talked about it. They can't stop grandma off the shopping cart at Costco. They can't do anything. I don't know what whether they got Aaron Glenn back there as defensive coordinator. Hey, you need to switch gears with what you're doing defensively, because you've got some decent players. I mean, the kid out of Michigan, he's a stud. I mean, the second-year guy, name escapes me, but you've a good rush end, pursues the quarterback well. But Denver's Sean Payton, along with the coach from Houston, in my eyes, are the 2 best coaches in the NFL right now in terms of coach of the year. Because, who'd have thought we'd talk about Denver catching Kansas City after, week 3 when they got lit up for 70 freaking points against Miami, know. But here they are. They're playing good ball. They've turned their season around. And Detroit right now, a whirling cesspool of doom and despair, the way they're playing. And Goff, when he's not playing in the dome at home, his quarterback rating drops significantly when he has to play outside in cold weather. But they're back in the dome here, but they're a little bit back on their heels. And, Denver's not going to be intimidated in this one. Catch them 4, total 47.5, Griff.
So, Tony, I did a little bit of homework on this game because, just as you mentioned, this defense for this Detroit team, they suck. They are really letting it open right now. And I broke this down. Chicago, they beat them by 2 touchdowns. The Chargers put up 38 points against them on the defensive side. And then you have Green Bay, who put up 29 points against them. That is absolute brutal defense. And then you go ahead and you look at Jared Goff. And I love that you mentioned how he plays in outdoor weather. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say during December football in his career, he is 8-13. That is why he thrived so much with the Rams. This guy can't play in the cold. The cold dooms him. He starts inaccuracy, pickoffs, brutal, falls apart. And this team starting the season, going 8 weeks in, 9 weeks in, NFC North champions, absolutely. They're dominant. And they should still win the NFC North, considering they're in the worst division in all of football. But considering the facts, they are slowly starting to deteriorate. Defense is allowing over 25 points per game. And then you've got Denver coming in on the hot hand. They're 6-1 in their last 7 games. They just snapped their 5-game win streak against Houston, bouncing back with a gigantic victory over the Chargers. You got Russell Wilson lighting it up. He looks phenomenal now as a Denver Bronco quarterback. You got Sean Payton, where we were all in the air on this situation of, did they make the right decision? Is Sean Payton the coach, the guy for the job there? And is Russell Wilson the man who's supposed to be leading at that helm? Well, I think we're kind of seeing what we wanted to see. They're really putting it together now. And then you've got Cortland Sutton, his go-to guy on that offensive side. They really look like a very good football team. Their defense is also playing really good football. And Denver scored at least 20 points on the offensive side in 5 of their last 6 games. As I mentioned, Detroit's defense deteriorating. And the most significant thing that I eyed out in this matchup, Denver's defense is holding down third down efficiency. They are currently ranked second in the NFL when it comes to third down efficiency on the defensive side, which is a huge stat to have against a team that thrives around their offense with the Detroit Lions. Tony, give me the points with Detroit in this matchup, +4 all day. Love it. Denver. Tony?
Yeah, you're going to take Denver in the points here. I would argue that as bad as Goff is outside of the dome, I mean, his QB rating drops about 20 points, which is massively significant. If they were playing in Denver, this would be a pick 'em ball game. I think
not going to argue that.
Yeah, I think it would be. So I think there's some value there. Might be some value with the total too. I mean, going over that number a little bit there, but there's another teaser option for you as well, buddy. We're going to talk about teasers right now, matter of fact.
Yeah, we're getting into the new segment right now, ladies and gentlemen, and that is called the Tony Teas'em. We've got the Tony Teas'em of the week coming here. Tony, let's hear it.
Well, there's one thing about teasers, and a lot of people over the years have called me Tony the Teaser. Well,
Tony the Teaser.
And some handicappers out there in the internet world will tell you it's an exotic wager and it's a cop-out and it's this, that, and the other. Here's a fact about teasers in the NFL. Over the last 10 years, the average margin of victory in the NFL is right at 5.8 points. They're giving you 6. I'm a professional handicapper. You're giving me 6 every game. Now, you can get on the wrong side of teasers where your team wins and you tease them down, but they just don't cover. And that's happened to me this year. Instead of teasing the dogs up, I've been knocking down some favorites that ended up struggling in games. A Monday night on my free play video, I said tease both favorites down. I thought both favorites would win. I was worried about Green Bay covering 6, but, and then crazy crap happens in the NFL. But you got to remember, you got key numbers. You're betting into numbers. You're not betting into games, folks. So you're betting 3s, 6s, 7s, and 10s. You want to get through those numbers, either going up or coming down. You don't want to land on what they call key numbers or fall numbers. You want to kind of get over or through 42 if you're doing total teasers. That's one of the key numbers. But this week, let's talk about a couple of teams here. The Miami Dolphins. The line is currently 8.5. They're playing the Jets. They absolutely screwed old Shep on the side of the road on Monday Night Football. I don't know what else. You can use some explicitives. This is family entertainment, so I'll keep the cuss words out of it. But I had put them in a teaser and put a little money on it, so I was a little pissed off. But this is a team they played about 3 weeks ago, beat 34-13 on the road in kind of rainy weather. They put up 395 yards of offense in the Meadowlands against this defense, away from home in cold weather. Now, they are going to be coming out with their ears pinned behind their back. I don't know what to make of the 30-point output by the New York Jets last week. Of all the games I saw that shocked me, I'm not telling you, Griff, that number shocked me the most. That's 30-6 win. Who saw that coming?
All season long, Tony. That was the craziest thing I've seen all season long.
I've seen some insane stuff. New England boat racing Pittsburgh up and down the field, surprising. The Cowboys going into Arizona earlier this year with Dobbs at quarterback and getting, butt kicked completely out of the stadium, laying double digits. Shocking. No, that game last week shocked me more than both of those. I don't think you're going to see a repeat here, or not as pissed off as Miami is. And let's talk about the number. 3 key numbers under the number of 10 are 3, 6, and 7. You tease that 8.5 down, you're through all 3 of them. And in the gambling world, that's what we call a value teaser, when you're able to get through 3 key numbers in one tease. So I like them. The other team I like, laying 6.5 right now, is the Los Angeles Rams. They looked good against Baltimore last week. How about that punt return for Baltimore in overtime, where not 1, not 2, but 3 guys got blocked in the back on film in front of the refs? Not one flag came out. He runs it in, walk-off touchdown, punt return in overtime, saved a bunch of survivor guys, didn't cover the spread. But I will tell you one thing, in that football game, the Rams outplayed them. They are playing good football. This is a playoff caliber team. And Washington, I don't give a rat's ass if they're off a bye or not. Sam Howell has been sacked 58 times this year. What do you think Aaron Donald and company are going to do to that offensive line? Howell's going to be on his back, and when he gets pressure, what does he do? He turns the ball over. And if you want to go negative turnovers on the road against an offense like the Rams, when, by the way, if you watch that Baltimore game last week, who's got a good run defense, Williams was falling forward, tripping and falling for 8 yards a carry. They couldn't stop him. What's Washington going to do? Give me a break. And when you can run the ball like that, that sets up play action pass. And you got a couple of receivers there in Kupp and the rookie that are tearing it the frick up. Give me the Los Angeles Rams at -0.5 point. I don't think Washington's going to be this week's New York Jets and surprise the crap out of everybody with a 24-point win out of nowhere against a better than average team. I think the Rams are a good team. I really do. I think they're playing well. And I'll take Matt Stafford at home, laying 0.5 point against Sam Howell any day of the week. Teaser of the week, Dolphins and Rams for you. Folks, be sure and go over the website and check out those bowls this week. As I mentioned, college basketball well underway. NBA plugging along, as well as the NFL. Yes, I did have a down week last week. We were 3-2 on the show last week with the New Mexico Bowl still hanging in the balance. We gave you that a week early. I think we had New Mexico State in that one, if I'm not mistaken, for those of you that didn't tune in last week. So that was a pick carried over from last week. And I will have a possibly an 8-unit bowl game of the year this Saturday. Possibly.
Okay.
Definitely going to be a 7-unit play on a 3-pack. I don't think I'm doing any bowls Monday through Wednesday. I think they're coin flips right now. That's my opinion. There could be 6 guys that have a 7-unit play on Monday or Tuesday bowl games. Like, I don't know what anybody's doing over there. We're all independent of each other.
Yep.
But, so that's why it's like Baskin Robbins over there. If you don't like chocolate mousse royale and you like pistachio nut, we got it. So if you don't like chocolate, you like vanilla instead, we got it. And sometimes Griff and I will text each other a little bit once our plays are up. I'm like Griff is a lot like me. After the fact, we'll tell each other what we're doing. I don't like to be influenced by anybody. Right. If I have a question about a game, I'll call a couple of pro bettors here in town that I've known forever and just bounce it off of them. Say, hey, I like Joe Blow this weekend. Talk me out of it. What am I not seeing? It looks too obvious to me or whatever. But so we'll have a card As a matter of fact, on Sunday, Griff, I may have just one NFL play, and it may be a 7-unit play, and that's it.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a tricky board this weekend. What do you got on deck here?
Yeah, so Saturday, I'm straightforward. I already got my slate. I have 3 plays for the week on Saturday. I'm blasting off a 6-unit for a bowl game. And then on Sunday, I've got 2 plays. I have a 7-unit, which I have drilled now 3 weeks in a row, my 7-unit best bet in NFL. I've been flying across the boards, man. Yeah, I've been doing really good right now. I'm on a 10-5 run. I want to say plus $2,000+ right now. We're steamrolling right now. I have a nice Saturday trend going at 11-6. So I have a 6-unit play in a bowl game. I have a 7-unit, and then I have a low 4-unit card or a 4-unit play as well on the NFL slate on Sunday. Just keep it real simple, 3 plays through the weekend.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, folks, don't forget about my NFL props. Now, I've been telling Griff about these. Yeah, Griff's been betting them, but here's the thing. We've hit 4 out of the last 5 Sundays with profit on those cards. There are 4 plays in every card. Prop cards are $25. Now, you can't go through Taco Bell, 2 guys in the car for $25 at the drive-thru. You can't do it. Invest. 2 weeks ago, we had our 8-unit prop play when Tyreek Hill was playing Washington. On the 3rd play of the game, we hit our prop. Score a touchdown, minus 140. 3rd play of the game. Last week, Drake London, over in passing yards, 50.5 yards. He had 82 in the first half. Come on, 7-unit winner. Check out those prop cards I put up at Docs as well. We wish you great luck this weekend. Thanks for tuning in. As always, leave your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. Keep the F-bombs out of them. We'll go in, approve them, and interact with you. Griff does a better job of doing that than I do, but we appreciate your feedback as well. Folks, thanks for tuning in. And Griff, thanks for sharing a little bit. It's kind of cloudy behind you, but sharing a little bit of the Las Vegas Spear with us here. Where are you at, the Venetian or when?
I'm at the Venetian right now, and I was trying, man. I was trying to get the view. I just can't get any good lighting here, so I pulled the blinds over. I wish I could show everybody. We've got you 2 right here. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm actually going tonight, so I'll be heading over there in a few hours. Yeah, for sure.
Man. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. For Griff Murphy, I'm Tony George. Come over to Docs and visit us. Thanks.